Listen, I am definitely of the opinion, that we should have some DEI hires in this administration, the ones that definitely earned it, because clearly we've got a bunch of incompetent fools that are trying to run our country, and actually they are running our country. They're running it straight into the ground. The fact that you literally are going to plan enemy attacks on a signal chat and then you don't even know who's in the signal chat.
As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences.
Buckle up. Things are about to get intense. Jasmine Crockett is not holding back as she takes on J.D. Vance and the Trump administration. The misinformation has reached a boiling point, and she's making it clear that enough is enough. With the truth hanging in the balance, Jasmine delivers a fiery and unapologetic response that's as powerful as it is captivating. Her words hit hard, and her passion is impossible to ignore. If you thought politics couldn't get any more dramatic, think again. As she drops truth bombs one after another, you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew.
The lack of cohesiveness on that side is why this has been the most unproductive Congress. People all over X and everything is like, well, they don't deserve anything. They're so unproductive. Let me tell you, the people that y'all keep putting in charge are the reason that we are unproductive, because they don't understand how to govern. And honestly, they don't even have a will to govern. And the fact that they are allowing somebody who basically is a shadow president to come out and tell them what to do, including Donald Trump, because listen, we know that Elon, as they have touted about how they need to get rid of the immigrants. Let me be clear. Elon cannot become president of the United States because he is an immigrant who has gained U.S. citizenship later on in life. So he's not qualified to be, or he's not allowed to be under our Constitution. So instead, he decided that he was going to buy a president. And right now, he is pulling all the strings on Trump.
Jasmine Crockett didn't just call out J.D. Vance and the Trump administration. She absolutely obliterated them. When it comes to exposing lies and untangling the chaos of modern politics, Jasmine is at the forefront, charging ahead with a passion and intensity that could light up a small city. And make no mistake, she held nothing back. No one is off limits when Jasmine has the mic, especially not J.D. Vance, who seems more at home in political theatrics than in the reality of his own constituents. As for the Trump administration, she paints it as a circus. Except the clowns aren't funny, and the lions, they might just devour you.
My colleagues that it was Trump who decided to store national secrets and classified documents next to his oversized bathtub and toilet at Mar-a-Lago. It was Trump who took the documents out of the boxes and shared them with his guests. It was Trump who told his staff to move the boxes when the FBI was coming. And it was Trump who appointed Director Christopher Wray as head of the FBI, the same director that allowed the investigation to move forward. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences. Now, make no mistake, we should all be concerned about the FBI. But my concerns as ranking member of this subcommittee, as a member of Congress, and as an attorney, as well as a citizen, are based on things called facts. And when I say facts, I mean clear, indisputable facts, not those alternative facts my Republican colleagues continue pushing onto the American people. So let's talk about facts.
But this isn't just about J.D. Vance. Bless his heart for thinking he holds any real political weight. No, this is about something much bigger. The whirlwind of chaos that is Donald Trump. A spectacle that seeped into nearly every corner of American life. From his infamous Twitter rants to his uncanny ability to turn every statement into a bizarre performance. Think America's Got Talent. Disaster Edition, Trump has managed to turn political discourse into a punchline. And yet, somehow, every time he opens his mouth, the entire nation seems to hold its breath, bracing for impact. Spoiler alert, it's rarely anything good.
And I'm tired of it because I didn't come to this chamber to play games. I came to this chamber to answer to the people, the American people, and to make sure that we keep the American people safe. And if we don't get something done, as they talk about the border, I do want to be clear, the only reason we haven't gotten funding for the border is because they killed, the House Republicans here, killed the bill that they actually sent us from the Senate side. If they want to do some work, let me tell you something, the Democrats are ready, and it seems like the Senate Republicans are ready too. They just need to get to it and stop peddling Putin's lies. Thank you, and I yield.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe. Now, enter Jasmine Crockett stepping into the chaos like a lioness on a mission. She doesn't just challenge JD Vance, she drags Trump and his entire circus of lies, gaslighting, and political absurdity into the spotlight. And let's be honest, Trump is the kind of guy who has more skeletons in his closet than a haunted house. The difference? His skeletons don't even try to hide. Jasmine's not just speaking truth to power, she's tearing down the whole illusion, one brutal truth at a time.
But also, when it comes down to like Trump being able to pick talent, let's just do a quick evaluation. I mean, when we look at Rudy Giuliani, I know that Rudy Giuliani has lost everything from his law license to his money to his dignity. Heck, he was even losing his hair dye, okay? Like, he has lost everything along with any other lawyer that's ever associated with him. And so now we get to JD Vance when he picks a VP running mate. And he also picked another loser, right? Like, because now the single cat ladies are coming for their ticket. Like, I mean, this guy is a loser. And I just need America to step up one more time and remind him, just like they reminded him 4 years ago, that he's a loser and he is only good for entertainment. But when it comes to running this country, we need someone who is serious and who is qualified. And the only person in this race that is serious and qualified is the black woman, and her name is Kamala.
Here's a fun fact. Donald Trump doesn't really need a strategy. He's just out here living his life like it's a never-ending reality show, where every week brings a new, baffling twist. Surprise! I'm doing something else that makes zero sense. That's the man Jasmine Crockett is up against. And she's not here to gently point out the administration's failures, she hits them square in the face with all the force and finesse of a political wrecking ball. The moment Jasmine calls out Trump, you can feel the tension shift. It's about to go down. It's the ultimate face-off. Someone who speaks truth with clarity and conviction versus someone who thinks stringing random words together counts as a policy. And when Trump's confronted with the truth, he pulls from his usual playbook, deny, deflect, and pretend it never happened. But Jasmine's not playing along. She's here to shred those lies and toss the pieces like confetti.
Ultimately, each of you knows enough to know that at the end of the day, it is citizens that sit on a grand jury that are the ones that decide whether or not evidence exists to go forward with an indictment. And ultimately, when this president was convicted by a jury on the state level, it was a jury of his peers.
Let's talk about the Trump administration's so-called legacy, a chaotic whirlwind of grandstanding with very little substance. Remember when Trump tried to brand himself as the champion of the working class? It was almost as if he confused the presidency with being the CEO of a failing reality show. His promises were about as solid as his grasp of basic economics. Sure, he claimed to deliver jobs, but not for the people who actually needed them. What he really delivered were massive tax cuts for the wealthy, then had the audacity to call it a win for the everyday American. That's like handing a starving man a cookie and calling it a 3-course meal. Enter Jasmine Crockett, armed with facts and zero patience for political theater. She tears through the delusion, like a teacher confronting a classroom of students who think they've mastered history but can't name a single president before Trump. With sharp clarity, she lays it out. No, Trump didn't help the middle class. He helped himself and his wealthy allies, while leaving everyday Americans to pick up the pieces.
Chair, and I can tell you one thing that is crumbling for the city of D.C. was that continuing resolution that defunded approximately $1 billion from them, but I will focus on today's hearing. The Republicans' recklessness and chaotic approach to reducing the size of government has shown us what we've already known. Concepts of a plan don't work. This is the committee's fourth hearing, and still no one from the so-called Department of Government Efficiency has testified before this committee about their plans to break the federal government, because it's not just going to be Democrats who miss out on Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, or only Democratic veterans who will miss out on their VA benefits. Their approach will negatively impact all Americans. So it's unfortunate that Republicans have taken a seemingly bipartisan issue and included it as part of their scam to subsidize tax giveaway for billionaires. They haven't proposed anything that will improve the efficiency of the government. Instead, they have put the country on a path to a recession and implemented the largest tax increase on Americans in decades through Trump's tariffs. This hearing is their latest attempt to try to convince the American people that dismantling public-facing agencies will somehow improve government efficiency.
In fact, if you're part of the middle class, Trump probably sees you as the kind of person who doesn't even know how to fold a fitted sheet, and therefore, in his world, your problems aren't really worth solving. But hey, as long as he's throwing money at the richest people in the country, that should magically fix everything, right? Jasmine Crockett isn't buying it, and honestly, neither should you. Anyone who's paid attention to Trump for more than 5 minutes knows the man handles crises like he's juggling flaming swords while blindfolded. His entire response to major issues, especially the pandemic, felt less like leadership and more like an episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, except the $1 million prize was a global health catastrophe. His strategy? Denial, delay, and deflection. He downplayed the severity of COVID-19 until it was far too late to act decisively. And let's not forget the now infamous moment where he suggested that maybe, just maybe, we should consider injecting disinfectant. If there were a global contest for avoidant behavior in leadership, Trump would win it in a landslide.
I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel away and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs.
Oh, J.D. Vance. Remember when he was basically the poster child for political confusion? He couldn't decide if he was Team Red or Team Blue. But one thing he knew for sure was that he couldn't stand Donald Trump. When J.D. first threw his hat in the ring and set his sights on taking down Trump, it was like watching a toddler have a full-blown meltdown in the middle of a 5-star restaurant. Loud, chaotic, and impossible to ignore. He didn't hold back. JD came in swinging, calling out Trump like he had just stumbled across the worst Twitter feed in existence. Trump wasn't just a rival. In JD's eyes, he was the villain in his personal comic saga. He painted him as a charlatan, a danger to democracy, and a blemish on the Republican Party. A walking, talking symbol of everything going wrong in America. It wasn't just a disagreement, it was a full-blown rejection. JD was practically waving a giant flag that said, "Hey everyone, I'm not part of that crazy circus." He positioned himself as the only sane voice in a room full of chaos, desperately trying to prove, "I'm not like them. Seriously, totally, absolutely, definitely not one of them," or so he claimed.
And so one of the takeaways is not just that the Republican Party base is somehow fundamentally flawed in a way that's unique in American political history. It's that Trump is a really bad candidate and, frankly, I think a really bad person.
But JD didn't stop at calling Trump a joke. Oh no, he kicked it up a notch. He labeled Trump's rhetoric as toxic. And in the world of politics, that's like calling a haunted house a little spooky. It barely captures the full mess, but it definitely leaves a mark. JD didn't just suggest Trump was bad at policy. He made it sound like the man was single-handedly demolishing political discourse with a wrecking ball made of chaos and ego. And then came the jabs at the infamous "Make America Great Again" slogan. JD practically rolled his eyes at it, treating it like a tagline tailored for the darkest corners of the American psyche. He didn't hold back. He roasted the entire idea. To JD, Trump supporters weren't just wrong, they were trapped in a delusional time warp, clutching onto a version of America that never actually existed, like characters stuck in a sepia-toned sitcom rerun. Meanwhile, there was JD, trying to slide into political boots 2 sizes too big, strutting like he belonged, while desperately trying to convince the world he wasn't part of the circus he used to mock.
And my biggest problem with Trump, and there are many, many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that the deck is so stacked against you that unless I'm the president, nothing that you do will change your life's outcomes. I think it's wrong, and I think it's very self-destructive.
But hold up. Jasmine Crockett wasn't having any of it. She didn't just sit back and watch the political theater unfold. No, she stepped into the ring swinging, tearing through the pretentiousness and outright lies with the precision of someone who's had enough. Her biggest question? How does a man who once called Trump a bad person now cozy up to him as a potential vice president? That kind of flip-flop isn't just suspect, it's spineless. Jasmine didn't mince words when laying out the brutal truth about the Trump administration's failures. She reminded everyone that their lack of action, especially during critical moments, cost thousands of lives. And no, it wasn't just a whoops moment. It was a level of incompetence so staggering, it could only come from people who thought governing meant crafting tweets instead of crafting policy. But hey, Trump's probably too busy polishing his golden toilet to scrub away any guilt, right? Then came the economic chaos. Jasmine ripped into Trump's obsession with his brand. A man so wrapped up in selling himself, he seemed to confuse self-promotion with actually building sustainable jobs. Spoiler alert, they're not the same. She didn't just stop at tax cuts for the wealthy or his Wall Street bromance. She called him out for what it really was, turning a national crisis into a punchline, while the average American got left behind, holding the bill. And while Trump's off partying with billionaires, the rest of the country is watching their grocery bills skyrocket. But what's new? The man's been living in a gold-plated bubble for so long, he probably thinks inflation is just the name of the hottest new nightclub at Mar-a-Lago.
The point. We have people in this chamber that are actually causing just as much a threat, if not more of a threat, to our own country. We should be talking about holding our very own accountable for the misinformation and disinformation that they are spreading, whether it's coming out of China, whether it's coming out of Russia, or whoever is peddling it. It is a problem because right now what we see is that people are dying and we cannot get the support that we need from the public because they continue to peddle lies. And I'm tired of it because I didn't.
And then there's the cherry on top, the infamous "Make America Great Again" slogan. What does that even mean anymore? It's like a bumper sticker that sounds vaguely patriotic, but offers zero real substance. Jasmine Crockett isn't about to let that slide. She's calling out the irony, loud and clear, mocking the fact that the slogan was less about meaningful progress and more about selling a glossy, nostalgic fantasy. A fantasy rooted in a time that only ever felt great if you were already rich and looking to get richer. But it's not just the empty words or the performative patriotism. Jasmine digs deeper, pointing out how Trump didn't just neglect the country, he divided it, actively turning Americans against each other. He made politics feel like a never-ending reality show, where each episode came with more chaos, more drama, and less actual leadership. While real issues, like healthcare, jobs, and justice, were left to rot in the wings, Trump was center stage, thriving in the spotlight. Jasmine Crockett isn't having it. She knows exactly what's at stake, and she's not afraid to call out every lie, every distraction, and every hollow promise. Her message is clear. Trump's idea of great only ever served one person, himself.
And let me tell you, some people think security clearances are all about whether or not you have a warrant or not. No, they look at whether or not you have some sort of divided interest. They look at whether or not you have good credit. They look at so many other things. And we're talking about someone who's unelected, unvetted, and definitely unconfirmed that is now literally sitting atop our $6 trillion. And we don't know what it is that he's doing. And we honestly don't know what role he has.
Jasmine Crockett's takedown of JD Vance and Donald Trump is nothing short of a masterclass. not just in exposing political hypocrisy, but in doing it with sharp wit and undeniable truth. She doesn't just call out the lies, she delivers them with a punch so precise there's no room for retreat. While J.D. Vance continues fumbling his way through the political arena, trying to mold himself into whatever version sells best that day, Trump is out here reminding us all that reality can, in fact, be stranger than fiction. And Jasmine? She's not just watching it all unfold, she's narrating the chaos with the confidence of someone who's seen the script, ripped it up, and written her own. By the time she's done, both JD and Trump are left spinning in a whirlwind of deception, contradiction, and plain old ignorance. Jasmine Crockett doesn't blink. It's as if she's standing on the edge of the political stage, arms crossed, pointing at the fire and saying, "Look at this mess. And now let's all take a second to laugh at how absurd it really is." Because if there's one thing this whole political circus has taught us, it's that sometimes the only thing left to do, after the lies, the blunders, and the chaos, is laugh. And then get back to work fixing it.